I think we're rocking. I think we're live, which is exactly what we're looking for today. Welcome everybody to another episode. We are back with High and Empowered, powered by Dualistic Unity. Today we have some fantastic guests. We actually have right now we have Andrew, and Andrew can be found not only with the Dualistic Unity discussions, but also on his Tiki-Taki, where he's quite the thing. Let me tell you. The other day he did a podcast in the street. He did a stand-up for the first time. There's a lot of authenticity this man is really pushing out there, and definitely want to talk to him today, because today we're talking about authenticity. We are talking about authenticity and action. The reason this is so exciting, the reason this is so big, because today I myself, it's all about authenticity. It's all about action. And I'm taking action. I'm going to be the most authentic version of myself that I feel I've ever been. I want to open up about the disparity of how we see people in social media and entertainment, and how we see people, I don't know, here on video. You see, we're different. My life outside of video, my life outside of social media, I'm a mess. I mean, I'm not a total mess. I work very hard to achieve what I'm looking for in life. And because my goals are not really longer money or fame or any like big cars and jewelry and clothing, that's not my goals. So now I'm reinventing myself, relearning myself. I'm authentically trying to figure out who I am, because I tell people about empowerment. I preach positivity, and in my life of craziness, I utilize my own forms of empowerment and morale boosting to look past the real problems. Sometimes to not see how bad things really are. Living in poverty, or being out of work, or restructuring your life from the beginning, whether it be personal and business, and all of those things combined. So everybody sees the smiling Oren, but sometimes that's not the true authentic Oren. And I lean so heavily on positivity. I lean so heavily on the false positivity sometimes that's not the authentic me. So today we are going to talk authenticity and the action we take behind it, and the action we take behind it. And before I introduce, of course, Amanda. Hello, Amanda. Thank you for joining us as well. Also part of the Dualistic Unity podcast team, with her own show as well, which is a show about just anything and everything and whatever happens at that time, which, that's authentic. And it's so authentic, we're going to talk about that as well. So today, huge show. So excited to have our last minute guests, which will happen by chance, and we love it, and that's how it's going to happen. But today it's authenticity. So, and of course, our co-host Julia here as well, and thank you everybody for being here on this going to be, I feel, a very, very interesting episode. So welcome everybody. And before we go too far, Andrew, talk to us all about this podcast you did in the street. Wow, that's raw. That's gritty. That's authentic. That's really putting yourself out there. So, okay, I'll shut up.
No, dude, it was a lot of fun, admittedly, and it added this sort of fullness to the experience, and it's like I was so hyper aware of my attention being on the live stream versus my attention being caught. Because like most people walking past would like at least give me a glance or a stare. And like, I have no idea what they're thinking about me. I have zero clue. They could be like, oh, that dude, that's kind of cool. He's on the street. Or they could be like, oh, that dude, what a loser. Why is he on the street? And like everything within that spectrum could be happening right there. And I don't know. So the ones I'm afraid of, the responses, the assumptions I'm afraid of are the ones that I'm giving attention, because like it could be any of them. So it's just my own judgments of myself. And that hit me really hard in that in that situation. Just to give some context to the situation, beyond my immediacy of the experience I was having, it was a blast because it was a awesome way that we were able to raise enough money to send someone to our next retreat, the California mini retreat, for free.
Oh my God.
Completely
Let's
paid
do
for.
more things like that in this
Yeah.
near future
I'm
because,
with you, dude. I'm with you.
right, when I saw that you guys were raising money and and then following that, it wasn't the same day, was it? Or was it that you ended up doing a stand-up? Your first stand-up? Or is
It's
that
not the same day.
okay? Because my timing of what you do is so off. Because I get it like at the same time. I'm like, oh look, he's doing this all today. This is amazing. And so he's so busy. What is he even doing? When does he have time to eat? Oh no, he's eating on camera. There he is. So, right? I mean, so it's and then of course I saw a thing, if you'd like to sponsor my furniture, because I have no furniture, I'm open. But other than that, I mean, how you've latched in so quickly to New York society and adapting to smaller spaces and quick moving and you're there in the middle of it. I love that. So when was so the stand up was before then? I mean, you did that a couple days ago, I imagine.
Yeah, that was I'm like, what fucking day is it right now? It is Wednesday right now. The live stream was Monday. I think it was Sunday. Sunday the stand up happened. So yeah, that was just kind of something that I don't know, the authenticity stuff. I think I realized how much social media was kind of something I was able to use to hide myself and feel better about myself, feel like sharing these things. I was helping someone, and that was kind of my purpose, was to help other people the whole time, not really taking it in myself fully. And so I've been getting hit in the face with like, am I full of shit? Am I kind of full of shit in a lot of ways? Yeah, I mean, maybe we all are in different ways, but like that one hit me pretty hard, and I'm like, all right, it's time to get out there. Even today, you guys inviting us on last minute to this episode, I was like, oh boy, I took 2 edibles this morning, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle this, but I'm like, fuck it, it's getting those reps. There's no way to fail. There's no tests. There's nothing to do to measure myself that I can adequately do, and so why not just keep jumping in? So that's been more of what I've been feeling recently.
But that's you putting yourself out in the light, not afraid at all, which I noticed you really weren't. I mean, you were nervous and excitement, but it didn't look like you had any fear in those videos, in the sense that you got out there like, look, break me down, I'm ready for it, laugh, I'm ready for it, be part of my experience, just, hey, I'm here. We need more of that. We need more people just getting out there instead of pandering to the crowd or pandering to themselves for an image. We need more authenticity. And look, I'm on social media. I'm on the TikTokies, the Facebookies, the Insta Cha-Cha, and the Linky Winky, Linkity. But authenticity is something I thought I was. And I am re-questioning everything now because I don't think I was very authentic. I mean, you're right. When you said it, it's like I was hiding behind it, being this person so other people can be strong, so other people can learn from that and be like, yeah, see, my life is shit, but I'm going to push through this. Like the guy I talked to in India, where he tells me about the horrid life that he's living. And here I am, I'm like, breathe through it. Be strong. Life sucks for everyone. He goes, yeah, but me especially. I'm like, and you especially. I'm not going to deny it. Who am I telling him to, by making myself feel better? That's not who I want to be. That's not social media wise who I want to portray. I'm a dad. I've got decent advice sometimes. I'm a stoner. I smoke a lot of weed. I'm a marketing guy. I'm a marketing genius. But in that, right? But that's me. That's me blowing up my head to feel better and create a certain ego. That's exactly what it is, though. Because in my life. If I were such a marketing genius, I would have got my shit together and, be able to survive without worrying, be able to work for myself, my own authentic self, and offer a service without being afraid that people don't want it. And instead have to have a paycheck through a corporation and feel like I'm indebted to them for my life, for their money. And I hate it because I want to be.
Yeah, I want to jump in, Oren, because it's definitely, we all struggle with being authentic, because at some point we realize that we're pretending and we didn't even notice that we were pretending, but that pretending was authentic. I was really pretending. That was real for me, so it's like, that was my version of being authentic, was thinking that I had to portray a certain role. And I did that genuinely. I did it with all of my might and time and energy and effort. I was that character. So for that was real for me, even though it wasn't real. It wasn't the real experience that somebody else could enjoy of me. It was as real as I could be in that moment. And getting my shit together is also the process of getting my shit together, not just having my shit stacked nicely. It's more than just having my shit stacked in a nice pile. The process of collecting my shit is getting my shit together. The process of noticing, oh, the shit's building up over there, is part of getting my shit together. The whole process, the analogy that I like to give is jumping. When you're standing with both feet on the ground, that's part of the jump. It's not just being in the air. It's not just coming down. All of the jump is everything, including when the feet are both stationary on the ground. It's the whole process of being stationary and then going into motion that is part of the jumping process. It's not just being in the air. It's not just having your shit together. It's not just feeling like it's honest. It's that whole process of learning how to be authentic is being authentic. It's more than just... It's just more than black and white. It's varying shades of gray.
Even in its temporal moments where I mean, because look, I'm not saying, look, when I do the videos I do, and I want people to have a beautiful day, I want them to see the magic of the day. I want them to see and feel that I'm being authentic. That's me.
And they see the magic when you are the magic.
But then in my own life, there's such chaos, and that's where I want to be more authentic. In my fall, look, I went from a corporate position to nothing for months of not working and exhausting. I guess I'm going through a personal emotional crisis in my family that's affecting me as a whole. And even though I may get on video and wish people love and friendship and just beautiful shit. Mm-hmm. The second I turn off that camera, though, sometimes I want to cry because it's not really me. I mean, it's me for that moment. But then when I turn it off, I'm like, sometimes it's just the tears of a clown. I can be funny. But I turn off the camera, I'm not so funny. Because then the weight of life I have to process. And is that the authentic me? Or when I have moments of clarity, when I have moments of peace that I can, without the weight of life on top of me, and I can express that, is that the authentic?
Being authentic isn't just being genuinely happy in front of other people.
No, not genuinely happy, but being able to express such love and light,
But it's not just that. It's sometimes I genuinely say, fuck you. Right? Like it's sometimes saying, you know what, I don't really want to participate today. Right? That's me being authentic. It's not just being one emotion. It's not just being one category of emotions. It's, I'm not just authentic when I am feeling like I don't have an issue with my life as it is. Sometimes I do have an issue with it, and that is me being authentic. And sometimes it's not so pleasant, and sometimes it is crass, and sometimes it is sad, and sometimes it is messy, and sometimes it is chaotic. But that's all a part of the whole experience.
Not to show that. Is it because I'll tell you why I say that, and I'll tell you where I'm about to go with this. Because why me and Julia got in the conversation about this in the first place, was taking action in one's life. So am I being unauthentic by not showing the poverty I live in or not expressing poverty. When I say poverty, look, if I don't have money saved in the bank, I'm in poverty. You know,
Yeah.
if I, you know,
Sorry, just to hop in, I just wanted to add, I think that it kind of comes down to aligning our intentions with our actions and just being vulnerable, because on the Dualistic Unity podcast, oftentimes Andrew and Ray, they often talk about just the like people pleasing, and how that is kind of, your intention is in a way selfish. As much as you are doing something to please other people, that's also to benefit yourself because you want to be seen in a specific way. So it's just, I guess, a lot like having pure intentions where you're doing things for the benefit of yourself and other people at the same time, but like being true to what feels right for you, like not doing something just to please someone or just to be seen a certain way, but to really show what you're feeling inside and what you're going through, like not putting on a smile when you really would rather, vent about what you're feeling. It's going back to being vulnerable and just showing your true feelings in the moment is what I kind of see authenticity as.
I think a lot of it too is like what informs the actions. Like we're always being authentic. It's just what's informing my action right now. Like how many assumptions am I making? How much am I thinking about myself? How much am I trying to protect myself? How seriously am I taking my thoughts? And am I doing something just to feel better? Or am I actually being myself, authentically expressing myself? Because a lot of times, Julia, to your point with trying to get, even just like trying to get people to like you or be seen in a certain way, it's for me to feel better. If I'm trying to get people to like me, I want to see myself as someone who is liked. So it's doing a thing in order to get a thing back that's based on an initial lack to begin with. And so when it isn't so much about making yourself feel better in whatever way that's being expressed, you are closer to that free authenticity instead of authentically hiding components of yourself because of certain responses that you've gotten in the past or assumptions that you're making about things. Because a lot of, I think, the actions that people take are to feel better about the way that they think about themselves, as opposed to just taking it all in and just expressing whatever's there. So like the authenticity is always there. It's just that we're clouding it, I think, on varying degrees in a lot of ways.
Another thought that I had based on clouding like what we really are is something Amanda might resonate a little bit more with. I was actually reading an article on LinkedIn talking about makeup and how that affects like our self-image, and like we grow up as women in a world that's very beauty focused, and like that you're seen very differently when you wear makeup versus when you don't. And like as my job as a cosmetician at the moment, I wear makeup into work every day, but recently I've been feeling a little bit differently about it just because I don't know, it's something that's encouraged because customers make the correlation between someone who's wearing makeup and someone who knows what they're talking about when it comes to makeup. And just like I don't know, the like advertisers in general and how they push makeup onto people because of like that sense of lack or not feeling good enough, like, oh, this lipstick will make you feel better, like that little thing in life. Like they also kind of try to push it as like the little like pleasures, but like at the same time it's like, why are you getting satisfaction out of that because you think it's making you better than how you look without it? And I've just been thinking about it a lot more, and just like how we are perceived so differently based on how we look, how we dressed, how well kept our hair is, and everything like that. So it's just it's interesting how identity can be perceived differently based on small changes like that.
Okay, so now, so do you not feel as authentic though when you're putting makeup on? Because when we were having a conversation, you and me, and I think even on the show as well, where we were talking about, you're doing makeup, but you don't really wear makeup, and then I said, do you push people more towards organic brands or things that are, or you just push them what you have to sell? So by you having to wear makeup, do you feel less authentic at that point? I mean, is it like that temporary authenticity? I mean, you look nice with the makeup. You look better without the makeup. But I mean, so, and when I said that, this takes me right into action. So with action, are we authentically, and I'm just going to quickly talk about this part, are we being authentic? Say when we want to save the environment, we want to save the planet, we want to save the birds and the bees and the trees and the seas, we want to save it all. We want to also save money on our electricity. So do we get solar power? If we have the means, the money, the time, the ability, whatever it requires. Do we get wind power, solar power, hydroelectric? Do we take those steps to do it? Because it's going to cost us money on the short run. But we're being authentic. We want to save the planet and we have money. We could do something like this. We could do small changes to be eco. But do we? Because, it's just not time effective. Oh, it's going to cost a lot right now. Yeah, but in say 3 years, you have no electricity bill. Yeah. Say you go solar and it costs you, let's just say 15,000. It costs you 15 grand up front, which you're financing. I'm just going some, and it knocks out your electricity bill. So now really there's no cost to you. You're just paying your regular electricity bill. And then in 3-4 years, you have no electricity bill. And maybe you make a little money back on it, like $5-10 a month. You get paid. You don't pay. In the economy, that's getting worse. We need things like this to make it easier. So, but instead, are we not being authentic when we don't go down those routes?
So I'll say real quick, there's no right or wrong decision. You're never making the right choice or the wrong choice. It's just, where's that choice coming from? And that can be really frustrating when you feel like you can be in control, because then it's just about making the right choice. It's just about getting solar power or not getting solar power. And then I can feel good about myself based on what I assume to be the right choice. But that's still within the realm of me feeling better about myself and me assuming that I have some sense of control. And so it may not be so much about choosing, which thing. Oh, is this more authentic? Is that more authentic? It's where it comes from and the mentality it comes from.
And that's what I mean. So I'm just using solar power as an example. You can use wind power, hydro. I don't give a shit. I mean, when I say that,
and that's what I'm saying is, like, we can't
doing
know that
thing. But where does it come from? So that's what I'm saying. From the heart.
I think it's more about how many considerations am I taking in? Do I have tunnel vision? Am I entirely focused on me? Am I prioritizing myself entirely and just how I feel? Or am I willing to take in some broader considerations? Maybe what's best for the world around me, for example. It's like a general other thing that you could take in. And so many people, like, the decisions that they make are like this instead of taking in more considerations. And so again, it's not a right or a wrong. It's just how much attention are you paying to, what's actually happening versus your assumptions about yourself and how that's determining.
My assumptions about myself. See, this is the whole thing. Am I just blowing my own head up? Like, when I say, oh, I'm the greatest marketing genius you've ever met in your life. I am absolutely bloody incredible. But that's part of my own personal inside mantra of affirmation, to reboost myself even at right. But then is that dangerous to my authenticity? Because maybe I'm not that good. And maybe I need to humble myself, and it's not about even that. You see? That's what I'm saying. I'm that's the battle. Because being authentic right now, look, I still care about people, but life is hard. It's heavy. And I want to care more. But it's hard to care when the weight on top of you is so much and so many. And so, that's the authentic me. Without being funny about it, life is hard. And we have to go through many different struggles. Reinventing ourselves also means letting go of everything we had, starting over from scratch. I should be terrified at my age, at this point in my life. But I'm really not. And the authentic me is, I feel all shit's gonna hit the fan. But because of my comical outlook, you'll never know. And is that me authentic? Or is it me just, sucking in all my emotions and sitting there stone-faced, stoic? As one of my kids told me, we were discussing, he goes, Dad, we've grown up and you've just been emotionally very stoic. I'm like, me? He goes, yeah, to us. To everybody else, you've been everything they needed. So, authenticity.
Yeah. And you can't know how that perception is going to be, but there's ideas that we'll hold on to about ourselves, and oftentimes that just gets in the way of expressing what's there. And it's always to counteract a lot of ways to build ourselves up and assume that we should live up to some expectation. But as soon as we're assuming that we should be able to do more than what we're doing right now, life gets that much heavier. Life is heavy. Life is difficult. There's a lot of crazy ass shit out there, but then we'll take what it is and then assume that we should be doing better than we're doing. Assume that we should be able to do more. And then as soon as that bar isn't there quite so much, it's not that everything becomes sunshine and rainbows, but at least it's just what it is. At least it isn't twice as heavy as it was, because I assume moment to moment that I should be doing it all better than I'm doing. You're doing your best. I'm doing my best. I'm doing what I can. And there's a little bit more energy. There's a little bit more attention. There's just a bit more of everything of me when I'm not expecting myself to be doing any better than how I'm doing. And that's,
But you said it. Look, you said it. And I want people to hear this. This is super important. It's hard to see what he said, and this is authenticity. In the worst of times, it is what it is. Life is hard. So look, you see me rebuilding, re-strengthening my mind and my body and my soul and my direction and my frequency, and in the best of times. And that's exactly what it is. You see me in the worst and the best, and you see the struggle and the growth. Like even Amanda had said, there's a growth to it. I don't want to hide any part of that anymore. I don't want to be somebody different for so many people needing strength. Maybe they need to see me how I really am. And sometimes I'm not going to be so nice about it. I'll still be nice. But maybe I'll just be more honest, because I'm wanting to be more honest about myself and about where I gain my energy from. When my son had said I'm stoic to them, that killed me. It killed me because I thought I was the funny guy for them as well. I thought I was the motivator and I am, but obviously not as much as I am for others. And so because I wanted to touch and help and be, there for so many people, I lost sight. And I used cannabis and the industry that I was in and the work that I was doing, and I used it as a mask to not be the true authentic me. I mean, I love to teach. I do it all the time. I love to make cannabis goodies and edibles and chocolates and, tea, and wow, there's so much. But then I created a person that wasn't me, because we expel that energy. What do we have when we get home? What do we have for the people we live with and that love us and actually care about the things we say? So I feel The authentic me destroyed those relationships to harbor social media. And that's one of the things I want to talk about today. You know, how we look at authenticity in social media, in ourselves, you know, in judgment and our fear of judgment. Because I've been afraid to be judged by social media my whole life. I don't want to cry on camera. I don't want to be one of those people, you know, saying, oh, we've got to do this and do that to save the rainforest. Look, you should fucking know better. You preach you want to save the world, then donate some money or go travel somewhere and do some work, living, camping shit. This is action. Authenticity doesn't just come from me saying it. I have to do it. I have to be a better dad, a more authentic, emotional, loving father instead of the guy I thought I was. So, you know, we need to take action in our lives and do what we say we want to do. Follow through with it from here. And that's why he said, where is it coming from? It's got to come from here. That's all we have left.
Mm-hmm. But we can take that action without judgment or guilt or shame, right? So when you were talking about, you know, the perception of your family of you, you know, I hear a lot of sadness and it sounds like there's self-judgment, but you know that a perception is not fact. Even your family's perception is limited, right? And it's not to say that their perception is inaccurate or accurate. It's just a small slice of what is. It's a small slice of the relationship that they have with you. It's not definitive. It's not that you are always without, you know, you never cracked a joke with your family. It's not that you've always been, you know, hardened and serious and stoic. No, there's no way, because no one is one thing all the time. So even if somebody describes me as assertive, there are many times where I consider myself very not assertive, right? But somebody will describe me with that word. That's not all of me. The description is never the described. So even though I will take feedback from other people and sometimes it will make an impact on me. But then I remind myself that isn't the whole story. That's not all that there is. And so you can take the action of making more time, you know, to be lighthearted with your family. You can take more time to show your feelings, because now there's your priorities have changed. And that's okay that your priorities have changed. And because your priorities change, your actions will change. But there doesn't need to be this guilt of, oh, I wasn't sharing enough. Well, you can share more now. You can do that now.
And I like that. What you just said, now you can do it. So for anybody listening, now, look, when you make those decisions or you want to be authentic now. Take action now. It's about actionable moments. And you're right. It's only the perception they have, and it's a small perception. And I love that you said that, because they don't even look at me at social media. I mean, one kid does, but when I say that, they don't see who I'm not trying to be. They don't see who I'm trying to be.
And they're caught up too. We all are. We all get caught up in our story, and then we think, "Oh, this person's not nice to me." And you're not thinking, "Oh, well, that person that you just said wasn't nice or didn't share with you could have had a tough day." But we're not thinking about how someone's life is totally set, like going on outside of our perception of it. You know, so that's another big thing to keep in mind too, is that you're talking to people who are looking from out of their own fears and their own insecurities, and they're worrying about being authentic. And that's something that we all think about. But then it's like, you know, worrying about being authentic doesn't really mean that you're being authentic. It means you're worrying. It means that you're overthinking being authentic, which doesn't really sound like being yourself. You know,
like you said self-judgment, and you were like, are you self-judging yourself? And a lot of that, I think, really comes from the self-judgment that we see social media and who we're trying to be. I mean, I hear myself saying that. It's like,
even trying to be authentic, dude.
Just be.
You can't even try to be authentic. It's just what's left. Because as soon as you're trying to be authentic, there's some idea you're trying to match, and that's not there. Like, you don't get You don't get the certainty that comes with all those things. Oh, I should be this, should be more of this, should be more of that. It's like we're just trying to validate a fucking story about ourselves to affirm that it exists. And I wonder how much the story we tell ourselves, we almost play it out in reality just to assume that we can know something. And then as it plays out, reinforces the story, just this loop of false certainty to feel like we can know. And it's just internal too. Then we're expressing the internal externally. What thoughts I'm afraid of, those are the ones I focus on. Those are the ones I play out. Those are the ones that kind of don't happen, but it's my fear of the thought playing out even.
And going back to what Amanda was saying, I feel like also just having like a lack of distortion in the moment, because we always think about things that have happened in the past or like how other people see us. But if you're just focused on the moment and you don't make so many assumptions about the past or the future, and you're just here and now, that really comes back to authenticity when you're here and now.
No, that's look, it's here and now. And it's how I want to be perceived now, but how I feel that perception coming out. But you're right, here and now. That doesn't always apply though, because people, well, look, right. People live by emotion, yes? We live by emotional decisions that are ingrained within us that are because of our emotions, because of actions, because of experience. So those emotions play and we play out in our decisions. So emotionally is from the past. And many times we bring the past into our now. So is authentic being just in the now or living part of the old person? Because we change. We're never the same person. We're constantly on this evolutionary change of ourselves. I mean, we start as one person and sometimes those wants and ideals are still there, but we evolve into this other person that just kind of, becomes more. And if you're open to it, sees more. That's where I've been on the journey. And I wanted my family to understand that. And they do, and they don't, but they do. But I should be having that journey with them, even though they're not all in that same direction. And that's the hard part. Not everybody is in the same direction of a journey. They're on their own journeys, but what kind of journey? I mean, we have our own interpretations of journeys.
You ever heard the phrase like meet people where they are, right? I mean, meeting someone where they are doesn't mean not being authentic to where you are. And I like to remind myself of that because, I definitely felt like the odd man out for a good chunk of my life. I wasn't into the same topics. I didn't have the same interests as my family. I didn't really have the same interests of a lot of my peer group. And I was the odd man out, but I found middle ground because there's always somewhere where we can connect. So even though like most of the time I wasn't interested in what my friends were, I still loved laughing. I still loved jokes. I still loved going on walks. I still loved hanging out outside. There was so much where I could genuinely enjoy something with them where they were. And I didn't have to drag them to the museums where I wanted to be or drag them to the library where I wanted to grab another book off the shelf. I could just hang out with them at the park because that's where they felt authentic. And I felt authentic because I enjoyed just being there with them. So they didn't have to have my mindset. They didn't have to have my interests, but we shared common ground because we are the moment together. We were co-creating the moment. We were having a blast, shooting the shit and just, keeping it light. It doesn't have to be that someone sees all of me to appreciate some of me. In the same way, vice versa, I can genuinely appreciate whatever I can appreciate about you without actually having to know all of you and all of your feelings and all of your perspectives. I can still enjoy being in the moment with you. I can just enjoy your company without knowing all of you.
I like that. There was really two huge things you went there and explained so much for people. And I want to mention, even at my lowest moments, I'm not low. It's not positivity. It's fear, I say empowerment, because damn it, I empower me, and then through me and knowing that I can empower myself, I can empower others. So my authentic self is that want for everyone to feel the power of life, even at my hardest of times. I still feel empowered, and that's why I do the show. And I want you to see that energy, that excitement, that enthusiasm for life, for people, for empowerment. So I just wanted to mention that. And then, okay, just quick, okay. And then, look, you don't have to see all of me. Look, for social media, for authenticity, you're 100% right. You don't get to see all of me. You don't have to see all of me, because, look, that doesn't mean I'm not being authentic. It just means I'm not giving you everything. I'm not giving you the personal life. You don't have to give personal life. You don't have to give, I mean, you could give personal person, but me, the same me. I'm not being a fake me on camera. I'm not like, hey, everybody. I mean, I'm like that in real life. It's just that maybe I'm too much sometimes. I'm good in small segments. All right. I'm good in small moments. But this all the time, I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. And so authentically, I'm loud. Authentically, I want for everybody. So I in that there's empowerment. And,
I think authentically is being you, dude. Like, again, authenticity, almost like focusing on that word, creates some sort of narrative, almost, because then it's like, well, is being loud being authentic? Is being quiet being authentic? It's like, what's informing the action? Why? Where's my priority? Is it on reality? Is it taking in all the considerations and actually being involved? Or is it, focused on myself and how I'm seen? Even, that need to be liked, the need to be liked, and the desire to be liked by people is a very selfish desire. And I'm going to try to manipulate people into liking me. So it's not even really about them. It's about me. So is that then trying to counteract some other assumptions they're making? And the more authentic you're being, in the sense of just being involved in reality, your actions then shift, and they kind of inform as you go. As you take actions that aren't so self-involved, self-absorbed, there isn't so much of that fog anymore. And as you take in more considerations, there's more, to take in. And then, like, as you start taking more of those, then, the idea, it's not so much about what you're being, it's about what you are, what you should be doing or being. And, for anyone that's in your environment, I think being yourself is the best thing you can ever possibly do, because that gives them the chance to be themselves as well. Because if you're not being yourself, there's some sort of idea and then some kind of manipulation that goes with the actions that you're taking. So
I mean, now, would it be living with less fear of judgment? So I want people to take something away from this talk. And the reason I say that, my fear of crying or of being emotional on video is that I'm judged. But in my new journey of authenticity, in my new journey of being real, something, I'm not letting fear of judgment or the fear of people hold me back. I'm going to be exactly who I want to be, need to be, for me, not for them or for anybody else. And if you can find strength in what I do, then fantastic. And if you don't, because I'm weak or something, then okay, that's life. Whatever. But we're all the same inside. We all hurt inside. We all feel the weight of life inside. And we also have to find that inner strength, that inner power, so that we can push through, our own inner belief system. Somebody once told me everybody needs something to believe in. Everybody needs something to believe in, whether it's God or not God, whether it's an entity or no entity. or whether it's yourself and your family or your path, your journey. Maybe being authentic is understanding that, understanding your journey. Look,
you are your journey, though. That's not some thing that you're sure. Like it's like the phrase, when you feel like you're lost, look down at your feet. And I think even with Ray threw it in the comments, you're less concerned for fear. Like, are you afraid of being afraid? Because that's still this sort of idea that like fear is something that I shouldn't experience. It's just a experience that then it's almost like, you know, that build of energy before something. A lot of times it's an indicator of something that maybe we even want to do or try again. And there was just a feeling that went with it when we were younger that caused us to have a certain assumption about that experience. And then I'm afraid of experiencing that again, but you're a different person. You're never going to experience that same thing again. And even if you do, if you're not so focused on yourself, it doesn't hit in the same way. It doesn't feel to the depth that you felt it that other time around because you were so focused on yourself and maintaining some idea of yourself. So when it comes to the fear and letting go of even just the idea that that's something that's right or wrong, like I should overcome my fear, I should overcome all my fears. It's like you can spend your whole life doing that, or you can be involved in what's actually happening. And again, not making it so much about yourself overcoming all your fears, but being involved.
Less fear of judgment, a little less fear of you know. And actually, it's something that Julia had said. You almost have to go through it to experience it. If I remember this properly, you've got to go through it to experiencing it, to be part of it, to have become it or something to that nature. Because is fear something we should maybe embrace a little bit, depending on things like stand-up or doing a live in the middle of the street, which I actually thought a couple times you might have gotten hit by something in traffic soon, you know. But I would have had bus fear. You know, I know there's a couple times. What is that? It's God. You know, especially 2 gummies in. Very exciting.
Going back to you mentioning, I think what I said before was the only way out is through. It was just a little quote that was written on one of my shirts, just because like you have to go through things. I don't know, just to get to the end. There's a journey involved to getting anywhere, and it's just going through really. Sorry, I lost my train of thought a little bit, but I also think it's interesting, going back to what we were talking about before. It's interesting, some may say that like staying true to your word is authentic, but then how, Oren, you were mentioning emotion and change. Like our situations can always change and difficult things can always come up that may change how we act. So then that comes back to just embracing what's really happening in the moment, and adapting as we go along the path of life. Because even if we say we may do one thing or we expect one thing to happen, things can change very easily.
No, that's exactly it. And we look, it's kind of like, all right, and not to throw it in, but the happiness. And we were talking about, you know, you don't have to be happy all the time. It's not about being happy all the time. Sometimes it's about experiencing and understanding where you are. So authenticity and action. Look, we need to be more authentic as people with the people we speak with, the people we share our lives with. And I think really what I pulled from that is, even though one of my kids may have seen me in a certain way, you know, but not, you're right, not all the time. I need to be more authentic with the action and take action in the things I want to change. So authenticity comes in so many different places. I need to go through it. Maybe it's a fear of, you know, I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. I'm just not honest enough with myself. So I think I need to be more honest with me. I'm afraid. And I'm afraid to go through. That's why when I caught that, what you said, look, I'm afraid. I'm afraid to go through this. I'm afraid to go through whatever emotional roller coaster quickly that I have to go through to accept that I need to be a better dad, which I'm a good dad. It's not that. I need to be more emotional with my own kids. I need to find out what's going on in their lives. But then I don't want to seem like that guy that's coming in. You know, I'm just going to come visit them really quickly because they live here on the land. I'm going to knock on the door and be like, all right, guys, I'm here. I want to know everything. Tell me everything. Look, I'm very open to my family. It's not like I'm not open. They don't think I'm open enough. They don't think I'm emotional enough. They don't think I'm real enough. They think I'm the guy that people see on video, but the people that see me on video is how I am. And they're supposed to know that. But this craziness that I become occasionally, they're all of a sudden like, oh my God, who is that person? I'm like, what are you talking about?
I love your energy, Oren. I am joining Ray, applauding you. I love your process. I love that you're sharing it. I don't think it's about being more emotional, because when do the emotions ever really turn off? But it's definitely, I think, when you said authenticity and action, I don't think it's action is the word that comes to mind. I think it's authenticity and honesty, self-honesty, because that's what drives the action. You know, I don't think it's because I've done plenty of going through the motions, right? There was a lot of action going on in this life. There was a lot of things happening. I had my hands in a lot of pots. And so I know all about being hyperactive. I don't think it's about action. I think it's, if you want more authenticity, or if you want to experience more authenticity, then it's worth considering how honest you're being with yourself, because that translates across the board with all of your relationships. Your relationship with yourself and how honest you are with that translates to how honest and authentic you are in every relationship. But it starts with the relationship with yourself. And so I don't think it's about more action. I think it's about more self-honesty and about learning that skill, because it's not something that people are just great at or not great at. It's a skill that you develop, being honest in the conversation, in the experience that you have of your relationship with you.
But we usually don't take action to make a difference with that relationship that we have with us. Yourself.
But it's usually the honesty that's not there that's paralyzing you. Usually it's that you don't want to admit what you're prioritizing. You don't want to admit what you want. You don't want to admit what you're giving up. Like, usually that's what's paralyzed me from in my states of inaction. It's not that I wasn't taking action, is that I wasn't honest about the action that I really wanted to take. And then it made it easier to do that action when I was honest about it. To me, not to anyone else.
But that speaks volumes of truth, because so many people don't have that. They have the internal dialogue, they have the internal thrust, but they don't take action for themselves. And you have to be honest with yourself, authentic with yourself about those actions. That's what it is. That's the whole show right there. Look, it's about taking action and being authentic. So the whole time, who are we trying to be authentic with? Ourselves. We're trying to be honest and authentic with ourselves so that we can take action to change things in our life, to change the course of our decisions for better, for more empowerment for ourselves. And by doing that, it helps others. See? I love that. I love that. That's what we pulled. Or I pulled. I know you already pulled it. You were already there. I was somewhere else today, but love that. Because right there, look, being authentic is great. We could say, I'm the most authentic version of myself. To who? To you? No. I need to be authentic to me, honest to myself. That's what Andrew's been doing. Let me tell you what, didn't want to forget any of that, because just awesome. And you may want to wear a helmet.
Next time in the street, I'll throw one of those helmets.
It looked like there was like a close call during that live that
Maybe, I think it'll look closer than they were.
No, but that is awesome. And I do want to mention to everybody that you have a retreat coming up.
We do. April 11th to April 15th, California, near Big Bear Lake. Where's that
Wow.
QR code? Yeah, it's going to be an absolute blast. Beautiful location, as you can see right there. You can scan that
Do you
QR
still
code.
have? Do you still have spaces?
More pictures. We have 3 tickets left.
Wow.
3 twin beds. Well, possibly king. Actually, there's king / twin bed options. We have not finalized. Whatever's there.
That means it could be 3 tickets. It could be 4.
Yeah. No, it's 3 left, and we may be able to raise money for to give out one of those 3 with another live stream of Peloton marathon.
Another strange live. You should do a live like at a karaoke or something, like at the bar.
It'd be difficult to hear,
and just kind of people make you have to go sing or go tell jokes in between karaoke acts.
Live stream a stand-up comedy set. You really pushed me here, Oren. I appreciate it. You never know. It's all on the table.
If you were looking for ways for somebody to just nudge you a bit to just another level of excitement there, another level of, oh my God, what am I going to do next? I mean, I was live in the street. You should get on top of a horse because they have horses in New York. Listen.
Maybe try and ride a dolphin somewhere.
I don't know. Listen, we can go crazy places.
Get a waterproof computer. No.
You've got so many great options in New York. Anything is capable there. Look, you've got the museums. I'm excited for you. It creates a whole new, and see, New York, living in a big city like that, it's all about retaining that authenticity. Because you still need to be the individual, even though we are the collective, even though we are everybody and everybody is us. In a big city like that, you lose who you are sometimes. So how does it feel? Because you live there now pretty much full time? Undisclosed location?
Yeah, right now. Undisclosed location for sure. Yeah, I was talking with Ray yesterday, just the difference in my experience in New York, because it was always something that I would gravitated towards, but there's mentalities, there's overarching environmental mentalities to certain places. It makes me laugh to admit, I think New York might be the most egotistical place on earth. Like in It's a Wonderful Life, when he goes back and then he comes back to the town, it's like Pottersville. Like, kind of looks like a lot of streets in New York. Like, city full of distractions. So there's definitely that. And in terms of like feeling the environment, it's like, how much does it have sway over you? How much do you have sway over it? It all shifts and changes, but there's definitely an element of feeling like, you're in control in a city. Like a big city is the epitome of feeling like you have control, that you're in control. It's like controlled environments over and over and over and over, very little nature going on in a lot of ways. And so, yeah, there is, because we were talking earlier just about feeling like you're different people. I was telling you, I took 2 edibles this morning and I went through a whole psychedelic trip of like feeling like a child in a lot of ways, like, and having just memories flood through of situations when I was like 4, 5, 6 years old, when I was like very relaxed. And I was like, it was almost like recognizing how much we crawl into our mind and like focus on ourself instead of focus on just reality being an experience, and not having to assume so many things about ourselves or measuring ourselves. And I started to feel like, going through middle school, how it started to build in this sort of slow build back into my mind and assumptions, and trying to feel like I have control versus being a kid, a 5-year-old. For the most part, you don't have quite so much an idea of yourself, and you just are experiencing life wholeheartedly, selfishly in a lot of ways, but it's not from a mental point of view. It's more from a physical point of view. And like, there wasn't an idea of like, time so much, or the next thing, or the next day, or what's going to happen then. And I wonder how much our life was expanded. Our experience of time even was expanded in those situations when we were actually involved, instead of being, caught up in our assumptions, feeling like, as long as I hold on to these assumptions, these thoughts, I'm going to be able to stay in control and know something, in just this sort of fog that overcomes us in a lot of ways. So honestly, I don't remember how I got into the childhood type stuff. I'm like, I don't know where this started, but
that was great. Holy shit, dude, that's incredible though. That's authentic. That is but you just talked about something at the root there. And I really hope when people hear this, they hear what he just said. Look, when we're a child and look, oh my God, we live almost selfishly, but not on purpose. But in that, there's a little of that we need to take back now. There's part of that we need to become again now, because that way we look at life unbiasedly. We look at situations unbiasedly. We approach with such a free, childlike energy, because it's how free we felt before we were corrupted, before we went through this change into this fog, into this holy shit, why can't I get that back? And
as we get older, I feel like you mentioned bias, but it's almost impossible to approach things without bias, because like you said, there's so much that we take in from other people, from our surroundings, from everything we've gone through in life, that there's really no way to look at something and not be biased. But then that's where questioning things is really important, because you can question, like, say you get a compliment. I mean, a lot of people try to like shut compliments down and not take them, but even like compliments and negative comments should both be questioned, because sometimes they're valid and true, sometimes they're not. So you really just have to look at them for what they are. Like the pros and cons of situations are subjective. So, and same with compliments and criticism. So I feel like questioning everything is really important, just to kind of overcome our biases, because they are there and they will continue to be there, but questioning does help.
that was huge, admitting it, that we're biased, but we are. This is a big one too. And being authentic, we're biased because when I said that, we live emotionally, we live through experience. We see the world as we have been hit by the world. Sometimes, yes, yeah, that's true. We've been hit by the world in such ways, and emotions rule us. So, yes, absolutely. That's just so it's hard. It's hard not to be biased. The thing is, we have to look beyond ourselves. Being more authentic, we are at fault sometimes. We have to admit our fault. We have to admit our part in play, and understanding that we are no different. So then we see each other as the collective again. We see each other as the big group. We all are. We all are the same inside. So doing that, are we no longer biased? Can we is there a way to drop bias at the door? Is there a way we can drop and shed?
I think just a willingness to, as I threw in the chat before, just a willingness to admit that we're biased and take an honest look at ourselves, and not look at the world as the reason for how we are, not push that responsibility onto everyone else, and take a really honest look that, like, okay, maybe it's not my fault that I'm this way, but it is my responsibility. Like, no one can do it for me. No one can be honest about where these things are coming from. And like, everyone is an accumulation, generation after generation, of a priority, of a focus. And so we're born into a world that is very self-involved, very focused, very, very much assumes that we are what we think we are. And so changing that doesn't doesn't stem from assuming more things about the world, or even knowing the world, even having so much of a strong idea that like the world should change. We were talking about this a bit yesterday. Like as soon as I assume that the world's super fucked up and it should change, it's not to say that there isn't the discernment there, recognizing like there's a lot of crazy shit happening right now, but it's not that I'm someone who knows what to do about it. Even like all I can do is authentically be myself, and everything, it's like coming from a different root. Instead of assuming that I am exactly what my assumptions about myself are, that's going to lead to certain actions and maintenance of me, versus watering a different root, a different tree, being not taking myself so seriously and seeing where that goes, not with an idea of like how it's going to play out, but just actually being involved enough, taking in all of the considerations as I go, actually paying attention to what's going on right now. Then there's changes that stem from there, but it's never anything that you can look to or even have so much of an idea of.
But you just said it again. You did it again. Look, you said it right there. Look, the change that happens. Look, you were just having a conversation that the world needs to change, that people need to change. People need to care again. And when I say that, it's a very broad spectrum of saying, oh, people need to care again. They need to love again. They need to be unbiased. They need to be more open, more, I don't know. The word I'm looking for, I don't have it right now.
No, but Oren, I just want to jump in to say that people do care about getting approval. People do care about getting validation. It's not that people don't care. It's that our world matches what we prioritize. It makes total sense. I used to judge myself for being so aggressive, but it's like my culture, my experiences raised me to be a little monster. So of course I terrorize the cities that I visit. It makes sense. It matches. The world that we're living in matches the priorities that we share individually and collectively. It's not that people don't care, it's that they care about certain things, and that can change. And because we are always in the process of changing, it's just that we copy and paste so fast that sometimes we think that change is not happening. But it is. It's just that we're making the same choices and thinking that we couldn't, thinking that there's no potential. But we do care. We just can shift what we care about right now.
Well said. And where we focus our attention so many ways, like the actions that we take. Oh man, it's not just about thinking about certain things or not thinking about certain things. It's everything. Everything that we do informs how we see where our focus is, what we're looking at and involved in. And there isn't so much fog when you're taking in more considerations and acting according to being the world instead of something that's in the world.
Well, that's deep. No, that is though. That is so deep. Look, and what I was saying, it's the change is what happens. You do small things, small changes to be more authentic, to be just more you. And then you take action within that and small actions. And you may not think that there is change happening from that action, but instead there is a cataclysmic shockwave that is happening, going around the world, changing everything in some small way, in a powerful new way. I say that because my mission at the beginning of the year, I talk about it. I'm like, look, people, just listen to yourselves, listen to your energy. Keep in mind, we can make changes, huge changes, but we have to change the way our energy goes out. And so that's what I was saying. I want people to see, even at the hardest of times, you can still be strong. You can still be funny. You can still be whatever. That shouldn't change your emotional state. And that's maybe some people see me as stoic, but not stoic as you would think, like a comic. Always funny, even in the worst of times. Look, it's a defense mechanism. I laugh, and where I should be crying sometimes. And it's because it's just what happens. It's my defense somewhere. And that's maybe, maybe because I don't, I'm not in touch enough with the emotional side of who I am. And so anyways, and thank you. By the way, thank you. I want to say, Amanda, thank you. Thank you for joining us, coming on, being a part of this interesting authenticity journey, which I have to say has been very exciting. Some very awesome things said. And I did want to mention, I think it was you're manipulating them to liking you. When you said that's very powerful stuff. Very powerful stuff. So great things said. I thank you for everybody coming to join us today. And again, we'll have another topic, some more interesting stories, either about ourselves or others, and guests. We're not going to talk about other people. We'll have them on the show. I mean, no, or just come join us, and we're going to talk about people. That's just what's going to happen. We're going to have a show talking about people. So gossip, all about gossip. No, it's not. That would be interesting. We could do a little gossip show. I don't know who we talk about. I don't know anybody.
Gossip just about ourselves. Just spew all our internal. Just judge the fuck out of ourselves as we go. Just outward. We're already doing it in here. Might as well just say it.
Because we judge ourselves. And that's another big one, just to say we judge us more than anybody would ever judge us. That's why we shouldn't be in fear. So I wanted to say that. I wanted to be like, look, we judge ourselves harder than anybody else would ever judge us. We think about ourselves more than anybody else would ever think about us. So say what you want to say. Live your life. Be you without the fear of judgment. Don't live your life for them. And do great things in the name of you.
Sorry, one more note to add just about fear is I feel like personally a lot of my procrastination comes from subconscious fear about things, and sometimes it's just having the courage to do things even with that fear. Like I think, Andrew, you've talked a lot about like presentations or speaking in front of people, and it's okay to be nervous and just accepting that it's okay to have those nerves. And I think I've actually heard before that excitement and like anxiety are actually quite similar. So you can almost kind of trick yourself and just be like excited about going into it. But yeah, just having the courage to show up and be there in the moment.
Well said. And you keep jumping in, and that sort of bar of what you feel like you can handle shifts as you go, right? And so that's where, taking the action has such a big impact, as it shifts, those perspectives as you take actions, especially ones that like maybe previously, it left a mark. It's like you don't want to revisit it because that's a scary thing to revisit. But as you revisit it, you realize like, oh, that's not what I thought, because I was a different person that time that I did it. And it's never that you have to be even anything different, like Oren, you're doing, man. There's no should be doing better, need to be doing this, need to be doing that. It's that weight that then impacts so much of what we do. And as we put weight on ourselves, a lot of times, instead of just taking off the weight and acting accordingly, we'll do things then to counteract the weight. It's like, this weight's making me feel like shit. I'm putting the weight on myself, feeling like shit, and then causing me to do something else other than the thing I would do if I didn't initially put the weight and the expectation on myself. Because even then, it's there is no should. You don't know how you're doing ever. Moment to moment, year to year, decade to decade, we never really know how that bar is playing out. But Amanda, it looks like.
Hey, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And and with that, I just want to say thank you again, and thank you everyone for joining us. I do want to mention, though, you're right, the authentic self. So are we more authentic when we shed the weight of, like, when we're able to take that weight off of ourselves? Are we more authentic, or is it the journey of that authenticity, of being able to take that weight off. Anyways, I know, big questions right at the end. Me and authenticity, because look, it's multifaceted, multi-idea of what authenticity is. There's so many other topics we could have touched on, and really going down that rabbit hole. There's more. Come watch us, more episodes. There's going to be more. I'm going to come at you guys. I'm going to get them back on the up. That was fantastic. Maybe even we can get Ray on here as well. I know it's early where he's at, and maybe we should wake him up. That's fun. No,
he's in the comments. He's up. He's been joining us. So
awesome.
It's been.
I read quickly. I can't see who they're coming from. My eyes. I'm old. I need glasses.
My eyes are your eyes. I can confirm.
I can see things are happening. I'm like, oh look, something's going on over there, and I'm like, oh, look at that. Oh, help someone go to. Oh yes, that's cool. Good good QR code. Check that one out. Help somebody go. I love that the whole thing you did. You raised money. Somebody's capable of going. That's awesome. So you have 3 tickets left. Check that out. Great discussion today. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Super awesome. Oh, I saw it said Amanda. I'm like, oh my God, you're cloning yourself. You are cloning. I don't know how you did it.
What my clone is up to, because I did not authorize this scientific experiment. Like, did we
click the QR codes, check out all the goodies and past episodes of Dualistic Unity. You're really going to love it. You're going to love what's happening over there. There's so many things that we want to talk about. There it is. There's so many things that we want to talk about, and these guys are talking about it. You know, these guys are exploring these topics. Also, they have a great series of Getting High with Dualistic Unity, or it's High and Dual. There's a lot going on there because
being high,
right?
Being high with Dualistic Unity.
Getting High with Dualistic Unity. Check that out as well. Dope Kitchen, Being High episode. I love that.
Yeah, cool. That was a great.
There's a lot happening. Right. Check the QR codes. That's where your portal is going to take you to a whole new place. And I'm excited. I'm excited for you. Anybody new coming in, learning about Dualistic Unity and about our show as well. Hey! Learning about our show as well. I really feel this is a great portal and a great place for people to learn so many different opinions and ideas in the dualistic nature of how we live. So, and you can see, look, Andrew, you do it live. I mean, like, you're getting out there. You know, you're getting out there and you're doing it live. You're showing everybody your experience. I think you've been the most authentic in that. I mean, you know, and we talked about that earlier. So anyways, it's been an awesome journey. Hey, Ray, how are you?
Sir, doing well. I just wanted to pop in as I heard my name being beckoned from the comments section. I just wanted to say this has been a fantastic episode. It's been great listening to the process happening. I know all of this can be really difficult because it's like we're beating around the bush all the time. As long as we're using language, as long as we're using concepts, it's always divisive, it's always dualistic, it's always fictional, and it's impossible to have a conversation without the fiction that we use in our language, and yet we're trying to talk about reality. So it can be very frustrating, but it's the reason that we have 400 episodes of Dualistic Unity, is because you can look at all of this from infinite angles for the rest of your fucking life, and you will never run out of shit to learn from. So this episode's been amazing. I want to pop on and say thank you to everyone who hosted today's episode. It was dope. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. And thank you for everybody coming on. We had difficulties beforehand with my issues with the computer. And of course, because why a great episode comes from issues and struggle and strife. So I'm glad we had that. Julia, thank you for being here today. And if you'd like to take us out.
Yeah, and thank you, Ray, for popping in. I appreciate just hearing everybody's different perspectives on authenticity today, and everybody just showing up on such short notice spontaneously, but that's how it always works out in the best way sometimes. But yeah, thanks so much, and it's been a great conversation. We'll see you again soon next Wednesday.